The Oklahoma City Thunder are one win away from being NBA champions, and you can hear the crowd as they were walking out of the Paycom Center chanting one win away. But that means there is still work to be done. But of course, we got to talk about J-Dub's 40-point night. I thought SGA had one of the best nights of this series tonight. And the Oklahoma City Thunder overcome lackluster shooting to beat the Indiana Pacers. Before we dive into it, though, as always, I got to hear from y'all. So join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Let me know what you guys thought about Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And if you're new to the channel, this is where I tell you, you need to hit that like. You need to hit the subscribe button. Got a couple days. They're not playing again until Thursday. You're going to want the content. We're going to push it out to you. So you want to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you can watch that content. Now, I think we have to start this night off with talking about J-Dub, because for so many weeks, for a lot of the time during the playoffs, J-Dub has gotten a lot of criticism. At times, it's been fair, and at times, you've seen a lot of very overreaction to J-Dub. You've seen a lot of people wanting to trade J-Dub, which is complete asinine to even... If the Thunder lost the NBA Finals tomorrow, I would not be on the train of, we need to trade J-Dub, we need to play Chet, or we need to fire Mark, which you have heard plenty of all over social media. It's a completely asinine take, and tonight shows you why. Because J-Dub is early in his career. He's been developing, and you knew a night like this was bound to happen at some point. I thought something like this might happen closer to next year. Definitely didn't think it would happen this season. But J-Dub goes out there, 40 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, didn't have a block this game, had 1 turnover, 4 personal fouls, but went 3 of 5 from the 3, 14 to 25 from the field, and 9 of 12 from the line. J-Dub put the team on his back tonight and helped OKC get over the shooting hump. Which you might be asking me, what do you mean by shooting hump? Although Oklahoma City had a better 3-point field goal percentage, the common theme of this series, where Indiana has a better field goal percentage than Oklahoma City, continued to reign true tonight. In this game, Indiana Pacers shot 45.1% from the field. Oklahoma City shot 42.6%. However, I thought the story of the night was, unlike Game 1, where Oklahoma City was able to create turnovers, get Indiana to turn the ball over at a high rate, they weren't able to convert on those turnovers. I think they only had like 9 or 11 points off turnovers that night. There were like 25 turnovers. Tonight, they got the Indiana Pacers to turn the ball over 23 times. And remember, at the beginning of the series, we talked about, as Oklahoma City, this is what you need to be able to do. Because Indiana does not turn the ball over. They take very good care of the ball. But you got them turn the ball over 23 times again. I did not think you would get Indiana in a high turnover scenario again. A game again. I didn't think that was going to happen. They were able to get 32 points off turnovers tonight. That was huge. That's the difference in the game. Because if they don't have those 32 points, we could be talking about the Indiana Pacers being up after Game 5 instead of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because although it felt like Oklahoma City had a really good lead the whole game, Indiana in that third quarter outscored Oklahoma City 34-28. They got it down to 2 points at one point. And it took everything for the Thunder to recollect themselves and ultimately go on, I think it was like a 7 or a 9-0 run, get that thing ballooned back up to 11 or 13 points, and the Oklahoma City Thunder never looked back. Now, at the beginning, I talked about J-Dub, obviously. I also said I thought SGA had his best night of the series tonight. And a lot of that came down to, in the first game, we saw SGA have the issue of not keeping his teammates involved, right? He got himself up to speed in that game, got himself going, got himself in rhythm, but he didn't do a very good job with his teammates. And we saw him be a little bit better about this throughout the series, but there's been times where I thought SGA's been a little bit passive. And tonight, I felt like he had the perfect blend. He was passive when he needed to be, but aggressive when he needed to be. And ultimately, he didn't have one of those stellar scoring nights. He only had 31 points, but he had 10 assists, only 2 rebounds, but had a phenomenal defensive performance. 4 blocks, 2 steals. He did have 3 turnovers, and he had 4 personal fouls. But SGA, I felt like, had his best night of the series. Chet Holmgren on the offensive side of the ball. This is, I think, what Oklahoma City fans have come to expect from Chet at this point. And I'll be curious to see if he can get better throughout his career. But he's an on and off offensive player. He's going to have it on some nights, but I think the majority of the nights from Chet, you're going to get anywhere between 10 to 15 points. But if you can have 10 to 15 points and get like what you got tonight, we're getting 3 blocks, over 10 rebounds. That makes Chet an extremely productive player for Oklahoma City. Overall, I felt like Oklahoma City played pretty well. I loved how Mark went back into his bench, played Kenrich 11 minutes tonight, was a +4, played Wiggins 22 minutes tonight. That first quarter stretch, I thought, said a lot with Mark trying to reestablish trust into some of these bench players. Because in that first quarter, towards the end, he sat SGA for, what was it? It felt like 5 or 6 minutes. And you saw Wiggins and J-Dub out there. And at first, it felt like they had trouble scoring. And they finally figured it out. They finally turned the corner, right? So I look at this and I say, Oklahoma City, I felt like you found something against tonight with your bench, getting those guys reestablished. Case and Wallace came out there, hadn't hit a 3 all series, and goes 3 for 4 from 3. Absolutely amazing. This is what you need. Now you can walk into game 6 with some confidence and hopefully close this sucker out in Indiana. I know a lot of Oklahoma City fans would love to see this closed out at home, but at this point, I think if you're Oklahoma City, you've got to take the chance to win it when you can. If you can win it in 6, that's what you need to go out there and do. SGA also had another feat tonight. And this is the last point we're going to make. We'll talk about this game more in detail. I'll go back, we'll rewatch film, and we'll break it down a little bit more. But SGA had another feat tonight. Another historic feat. Shai Gilgeous Alexander joins Kobe Bryant, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Michael Jordan as the only players in NBA history with 15 or more 30-plus point games in a single postseason. I want you to think about that stat for a second. SGA is now joining only Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon as the only players in NBA history with 15 or more 30-plus points games in a single postseason, outlasting Kevin Durant, who's been one of the best scorers in NBA history. Carmelo Anthony, who felt like in the playoffs could get anything he wanted. A LeBron James, who you felt like he's missing, some historic marks in the playoffs for as many times as he's been. SGA is joining the elite company. If he wins this NBA Finals, he's going to be joining Michael Jordan and the elite company of winning a scoring title, an NBA Finals, an NBA Finals MVP, and the league MVP. The only other player to do that. So, Thunder fans, jump in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are about the Thunder's 120-109 win over the Indiana Pacers. We're 1 win away. We'll dive more into this series and this game later on. But in the meantime, hit that like and hit that subscribe button.